The echo of a spark. Have you ever considered that when you look up at a clear night sky, you are not actually looking at the present moment, but rather at a vast, silent library of ghosts? Imagine for a moment that the universe has a way of repeating its most beautiful stories, not through memory, but through a phenomenon known as a light echo. It is a concept rarely discussed in our daily lives. The idea that a single event, like the collapse of a distant sun, can reach us, fade into the black, and then suddenly reappear years later, reflected off a distant cloud of gas like a whisper returning from across a lake. This means that if we were to look in the right direction, we might find ourselves watching the same ancient history unfold twice, seeing a flash of light that traveled across the void, hit a cosmic mirror, and began a second journey toward our eyes. It suggests a universe that is not just expanding, but is also carefully preserving every spark it has ever produced, keeping the past alive in a way that our human minds are only just beginning to grasp. As you settle into your blankets, think of this light not as a fading remnant, but as a patient traveler that has spent eons crossing the cold reaches of space just to find you. The photons that are touching your eyes tonight may have started their journey before the first mountains were formed on Earth, moving through the silence with a steady, unwavering purpose. They have survived the birth of galaxies and the collision of worlds, carrying the signature of a star that might have vanished from the physical world long before the first human looked up in wonder. There is a strange, quiet comfort in knowing that the sky is filled with these survivors, these tiny messengers of an era we can never visit, yet which still manages to reach out and touch us in the stillness of the night. In the world of science, we often focus on the facts we can prove, the distances we can measure, and the speeds we can calculate. But there is a softer side to this knowledge, a realization that we are constantly bathed in the glow of things that have already passed away. This light, though it originates from a source that is gone, is still very much real. It carries energy, it carries information, and it carries a sense of continuity that connects your quiet bedroom to the furthest edges of the cosmos. When a star reaches the end of its life, it doesn't simply blink out. It sends out a final, radiant testament of its existence, a burst of light that begins a journey across a distance so vast that our minds can barely conceive of it. For millions of years, that light travels through the vacuum, passing through the shadows of other planets and the dust of nebulae, never slowing down, never wavering. It is a persistent echo of a moment that occurred in a time so distant, it feels like a different universe entirely. And yet, here it is, arriving at your window, or perhaps being absorbed by the leaves of a tree outside, or simply passing through the atmosphere to be lost in the ground. This light has no concept of time. To a photon, the journey from a star 10 billion light years away happens in an instant. From its perspective, it was born and then it arrived here, with no time passing in between. It is only for us, the observers, that the journey seems long. It is only for us that the light carries the weight of history. As you lie there, feeling the weight of your own body against the mattress, try to imagine the stillness of that journey. The light does not get tired. It does not grow old. It simply exists, carrying the memory of its origin until it finally finds something to touch. This creates a bridge between the ancient past and your very personal present, a connection that is as physical as it is poetic. You are, in this moment, a part of the universe's long memory, a witness to a light that has traveled through the deep dark just to be here with you now, the long migration of internal light. If you were to travel into the heart of a star, far beyond the glowing surface we see with our telescopes, you would find yourself in a place where time seems to fold in on itself, creating a journey that begins long before a single ray of light ever touches the cold vacuum of space. We often think of light as something instantaneous, a quick flash that travels at the fastest speed allowed by the laws of physics. But the truth is that for a photon, the first part of its life is spent in a state of incredible, patient struggle. Inside the core of a sun, where atoms are crushed together by the weight of an entire world, a tiny spark is born from the fire of fusion. But it does not simply fly away. Instead, it begins what scientists call a random walk, a zigzagging path through a forest of atoms so dense that the photon is absorbed and re-emitted billions of times before it ever sees the edge of the star. It is a slow, rhythmic process that can take tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years, meaning that the warmth you feel on your skin on a summer afternoon actually began its life during the last ice age on Earth. This realization shifts our perspective on the nature of the sun, changing it from a constant, unchanging lamp into a deep well of ancient history that is slowly leaking its secrets out into the night. As you rest here, imagine that incredible density, a place where light is held like a precious secret, bouncing from one particle to another in a silent, golden dance that lasts for eons before the final escape. This internal migration is a testament to the endurance of energy, a slow-motion birth that precedes the lightning-fast journey across the solar system. By the time a photon finally breaks free from the surface of its parent star, it has already lived a lifetime, carrying the imprint of the crushing pressures and the unimaginable heat of the core. It steps out into the void as a seasoned traveler, leaving behind the chaotic crowd of the interior for the absolute, peaceful solitude of space. This transition is perhaps one of the most profound shifts in the natural world, moving from a place where you cannot move an inch without hitting something, to a place where you can travel for 1 billion miles and encounter nothing but the dark. It is a moment of sudden, quiet liberation, as the light finally begins its straight-line sprint toward the horizon. When we look at the stars, we are seeing the end of this long, internal struggle, witnessing the moment of freedom that took 100,000 years to achieve. It makes the light feel heavier, more substantial, as if each ray carries the weight of its long history within the heart of the fire. You can almost feel that weight as you sink deeper into your bed, a sense of slow, deliberate movement that eventually leads to the stillness of the present moment. The void that exists between the stars is not just an empty space, but a vast gallery where these ancient messengers travel in perfect silence. Once the light has escaped its star, it enters a realm of such profound emptiness that its journey becomes one of pure geometry, a straight line drawn across the canvas of the universe. There is no wind in space to blow the light off course, no sound to disturb its progress, and very little matter to get in its way. It is a journey of pure, unadulterated persistence. If you were to follow a single photon as it left a star in the Andromeda Galaxy, you would find yourself on a journey that lasts over 2 million years. You would watch as the Earth formed its current continents, as the first humans learned to use tools, and as entire civilizations rose and fell, all while that single bit of light moves steadily through the darkness. It does not grow tired, it does not lose its way, and it does not change its pace. It is a constant, a fixed point of reliability in a universe that is always shifting. This steady, rhythmic movement is like a heartbeat for the cosmos, a pulse of energy that connects every corner of existence in a web of light that is both ancient and ever new. As the light travels, it passes through the remnants of old nebulae, clouds of gas and dust that act like soft veils, occasionally scattering the light and creating the beautiful, muted colors we see in deep space photography. These clouds are the nurseries and the graveyards of the stars, filled with the raw materials of future worlds and the ashes of those that have passed away. When the light passes through these regions, it picks up a new part of its story, a slight shift in its color, or a subtle change in its direction that tells us what it has encountered along the way. It is as if the light is a traveler, collecting stamps in a passport, each one a record of a place it has been and a thing it has seen. By the time it reaches us, it is no longer just a simple ray of energy, but a complex narrative, a layered history of the journey it has taken through the various landscapes of the deep dark. We are the lucky recipients of these stories, the ones who get to open the letter and read the message that has been traveling for longer than we have existed as a species. There is a profound sense of safety in this continuity, a feeling that the universe is a place where nothing is ever truly lost. The light of a star that died 1 million years ago is still out there, still moving, still carrying the image of what that star looked like in its prime. In a way, the past is not something that is behind us, but something that is all around us, moving through the space we inhabit, waiting for the moment it hits a telescope or a human eye to be remembered. This means that we are never truly alone in the present, but are always surrounded by the echoes of everything that has ever been. As you drift closer to sleep, you can imagine this light as a soft, protective blanket that wraps around the world, a layer of history that provides a quiet, steady background to our lives. The darkness of the night is not a lack of something, but a canvas that allows us to see these ancient visitors more clearly, providing the contrast necessary to appreciate the long journey they have made. Every time you blink, you are intercepting photons that have spent more time traveling than any human empire has ever lasted. They vanish the moment they touch your eye, their long journey ending in a tiny spark of chemical energy that your brain interprets as a star. It is a humble end for such a grand voyage, a quiet disappearance into the mind of a living being. But in that moment of contact, a connection is made across the vastness of time and space. You become the final destination for a piece of the universe's history, a witness to a light that has finally found a home. This thought can be a gentle anchor, a way to feel connected to the grand scale of things without feeling overwhelmed by it. The universe is vast, and its timelines are long, but it all comes down to these small, quiet moments of intersection, where the ancient past meets the living present in the stillness of the night, the faint hum of the first fire. If you could tune your senses to a different frequency, if you could see beyond the narrow band of colors that our eyes have evolved to catch, you would realize that the room you are lying in is not dark at all. In fact, it is filled with a soft, uniform glow that never fades, a light that has been traveling since the very beginning of time. This is what we call the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light in existence, and it is perhaps the most profound example of an echo that refused to disappear. Long before the first stars were born, before there were galaxies, or even the simplest atoms of oxygen or carbon, the entire universe was a hot, dense, and brilliant sea of energy. It was a place where light could not move freely, trapped in a thick, glowing fog of particles, bouncing back and forth in a state of eternal collision. But there came a moment, roughly 380,000 years after the start of everything, when the universe cooled just enough for that fog to clear. In a single, silent instant of cosmic transparency, the light was released. It began its journey across the void, and it has been traveling ever since, stretching and cooling as the universe expanded, shifting from a blinding white heat into the invisible, gentle hum that fills every cubic inch of space today. As you breathe in and out, consider the fact that a tiny fraction of the static you once heard on old television sets, that soft hissing sound between the stations, was actually the sound of this first light touching the antenna. It is the residue of the creation of the world, a faint thermal signature that tells us we are living inside the cooling embers of a magnificent fire. This light does not come from a single star or a specific point in the sky. It comes from everywhere at once. It is behind the stars, behind the galaxies, and even behind the darkest patches of the night. It is a fundamental part of the environment we inhabit, a silent witness to every second of history that has unfolded since the dawn of time. Even now, as you lie in the stillness of your room, these ancient photons are passing through the walls, through your furniture, and even through you, carrying the memory of a time when the universe was small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. There is something deeply grounding about this thought, a realization that we are never truly removed from our origins. The beginning of the universe is not a distant event in a history book. It is a physical presence that is touching you right now. This relic radiation is the ultimate long-form story, a narrative that has been playing for nearly 14 billion years without a single interruption. When we map this light, we see tiny ripples, subtle variations in temperature that represent the seeds of everything we see today. Those tiny fluctuations were the blueprints for the great walls of galaxies, the clusters of stars, and eventually the solar system that became our home. In a very real sense, your existence was written into that first light long before the Earth was ever a thought in the mind of the cosmos. The light that has already died away from our visible spectrum still holds the structure of our reality together, acting as a foundation for everything that came after. It is a slow, steady pulse that reminds us of the scale of the journey we are all a part of. The universe is not just a place where things happen. It is a continuous process, a single unfolding event that began with a flash and is now settling into a long, quiet evening. Imagine the patience of that light, traveling through the absolute cold of space for billions of years, never losing its way, never disappearing, only growing softer and more stretched as the stage it moves across expands. It has seen the first stars ignite like tiny candles in the dark, and it has seen the most massive suns explode in violent, beautiful ends. It has passed through the dust of dead worlds and the nebulae of those yet to be born. It is a survivor of the highest order, a traveler that has crossed the entirety of existence to be present in your room tonight. As you drift towards sleep, let the idea of this universal glow settle over you like a warm, invisible blanket. You are drifting off to sleep within the oldest light there is, a soft, cosmic radiance that connects the first moment of time to the quiet breath you are taking right now. This light is a bridge, a way for us to look back across the eons and see the shape of the universe when it was still in its infancy. It is a reminder that even in the deepest dark, there is information, there is structure, and there is a history that is still being told. We often think of the past as something that is gone, something that has vanished behind us, like the wake of a ship. But the light tells a different story. It tells us that the past is still here, moving through us, surrounding us, and providing the very air we breathe in a cosmic sense. The universe does not forget where it came from. It carries its history with it in every photon and every wave. By simply existing, you are a part of that ongoing record, a modern chapter in a book that began with the first light. The silence of the night is not empty. It is full of this ancient conversation, a soft murmur of energy that has been traveling for eternity, just to find a place to rest. You can let go of the day now, knowing that you are held within this vast, enduring continuity, a tiny part of a story that is far too grand to ever truly end. The porous self and the ghostly stream. Think for a moment about the physical boundaries of your body, the skin that holds you together and defines where you end and the rest of the world begins. We often perceive ourselves as solid, opaque beings, standing firm against the elements. But in the silent language of light and subatomic particles, we are something much closer to a mist or a fine lace. If you were to hold your hand up to a bright lamp, you would see a warm crimson glow radiating through the edges of your fingers, a gentle reminder that your flesh is not a wall, but a medium through which energy travels, scatters, and transforms. This quality of being slightly translucent is not just a biological curiosity, it is a deep, physical connection to the radiant history of the universe we have been exploring. As you lie in the quiet of your room, try to visualize the way the ancient light we discussed, the light from dead stars and the faint hum of the beginning of time, interacts with the very molecules that make you who you are. We are not just observers of the light. We are its temporary hosts, a quiet resting place for energy that has traveled across the unimaginable reaches of the void. While the photons that strike our eyes are the messengers we notice most, there is another, even more ghostly stream of visitors passing through you at this very moment, in numbers that the human mind can hardly fathom. These are the neutrinos, tiny, nearly weightless particles born in the hearts of stars and the violent collisions of galaxies. At this very second, trillions of these silent travelers are streaming through your body, passing through your skin, your bones, and even the mattress beneath you as if you were made of nothing but empty space. They do not stop, they do not slow down, and they almost never interact with the matter they encounter. They are the ultimate nomads of the cosmos, moving through the earth and its inhabitants with a total, indifferent grace. There is a strange, meditative peace in the realization that you are currently being bathed in a constant, invisible rain of starlight and cosmic history, a stream of existence that connects you to the farthest suns without ever disturbing a single hair on your head. You are a porous vessel, a space where the universe flows through itself, a quiet witness to a grand migration that never ends. This sense of being a part of a larger flow extends even to the atoms that compose your physical form. Every bit of calcium in your bones, every trace of iron in your blood, and the carbon that forms the basis of your life was once forged inside the intense heat and pressure of a star. In a very literal sense, you are the recycled remains of the light that has already died. The suns that exploded billions of years ago did not simply vanish into nothingness. They scattered their heavy elements across the darkness, creating the vast clouds of dust that eventually coalesced into our planet and, ultimately, into you. You are a living archive of cosmic history, a collection of ancient materials that have been brought together for a brief, flickering moment to experience the world. When you look at the stars, you're not looking at something separate from yourself. You're looking at your ancestors, the original sources of the very matter that allows you to think, to breathe, and to dream. This realization can be a gentle anchor for your mind, a way to feel a deep sense of belonging in a universe that often feels too large to comprehend. You are not a stranger in the dark. You are a piece of the light that has found its way home. In recent years, scientists have begun to explore an even more subtle form of light that exists within us, a phenomenon known as biophotons. It is a quiet, beautiful idea that all living things, including you, emit a very faint, nearly invisible glow as a result of the chemical reactions happening inside our cells. This light is thousands of times too dim for our eyes to see, but it is there, a soft bioluminescence that pulses with the rhythm of our metabolism. It is as if we carry a tiny, internal reflection of the stars within our own biology, a faint glimmer of energy that speaks to the fundamental connection between life and light. As you settle deeper into your pillows, imagine this soft, internal glow radiating from within, a quiet pulse of light that mirrors the steady beat of your heart. It is a light that does not seek to illuminate the world, but simply to exist as a byproduct of being alive. It is the signature of your own existence, a gentle, rhythmic hum of energy that joins the much larger symphony of the cosmos. The journey of light often ends in the most intimate of places, the human eye. When a photon that has traveled for millions of years finally hits your retina, It triggers a tiny chemical reaction, a small spark of information that your brain translates into a point of light. In that instant, the photon's long journey across the vacuum of space comes to an absolute end. It is absorbed, transformed, and incorporated into your own consciousness. You are the final destination for that ancient traveler, the person who gives its long journey meaning by acknowledging its presence. This creates a profound relationship between the observer and the observed, a moment of contact where the vast scale of the universe is collapsed into the space of a single thought. You are a participant in the history of the light, the one who catches the echo and holds it for a moment before it fades. The stillness of the night is the perfect time to reflect on this role, to feel the weight of your own presence as a witness to the unfolding story of the stars. As you drift closer to the edge of sleep, let the boundaries of your body feel a little softer, a little more transparent. Imagine the light and the particles of the universe moving through you like a gentle breeze through a screen door. There is no need to hold on, no need to resist the flow of time or energy. You are a part of a continuous, breathing universe, a place where light dies only to be reborn in new forms, and where the past is always present in the very fabric of our being. The darkness is not a wall, but a quiet space where you can rest, knowing that you are held in a web of light that stretches from the first moment of time to the quiet breath you take right now. Everything is connected, everything is moving at its own steady pace, and everything is exactly as it should be. You are safe, you are seen, and you are a vital part of the long, silent story of the light. The cradle of the first dawn. There was a time, long after the initial glow of the universe's birth had faded into the deep infrared, and long before the first pinprick of a star ever graced the void, when the cosmos existed in a state of absolute, profound, and velvet-like darkness. Scientists often call this era the Cosmic Dark Ages, a name that sounds perhaps a bit cold or lonely. But if you were there, it might have felt more like a great universal pause, a moment of deep inhalation before the first true light was born. For hundreds of millions of years, there were no galaxies, no suns, and no planets. There was only a vast, silent ocean of hydrogen and helium gas, cooling and spreading out into an ever-expanding emptiness. This was a world of shadows, where the light we have been discussing, the light that has already died, had not yet even been conceived. It is a period of history that is almost impossible to see, yet it is the very foundation of everything we are. As you lie there, try to imagine that kind of stillness, a darkness so complete that it wasn't just the absence of light, but a space waiting for the very concept of a star to be invented by the laws of physics. It was a time of pure potential, a long, quiet sleep for the entire universe, where gravity was the only force working in the shadows, slowly, patiently, and invisibly, drawing the cold gas together into the first meaningful shapes. This invisible work of gravity is one of the most patient stories ever told. Imagine these vast clouds of hydrogen, so thin and ethereal that they would seem like nothingness to our human touch, drifting through the dark for millions of years. They were not in a hurry. They moved with a glacial, rhythmic grace, guided by the subtle pull of one atom toward another. Over eons, these clouds began to thicken, forming into massive dark spheres that grew heavier and denser with every passing century. Inside these growing shadows, the pressure began to rise and the temperature began to climb, turning a cold, dark void into a pressurized furnace of possibility. This was the universe's long labor, a slow-motion transformation that was occurring in total secrecy, hidden by the very darkness it was destined to break. It is a reminder that the most significant changes in the world often happen in the quiet, in the places where no one is looking, and over timescales that our busy, waking minds can hardly appreciate. There is a safety in that slow pace, a feeling that the universe knows how to take its time, allowing things to develop exactly as they must, without any sense of urgency or rush. Then, in a single, magnificent moment that changed the cosmos forever, the first star ignited. It was a monster of a star, hundreds of times larger and more brilliant than our own sun, born from the pure, untainted gases of the early universe. When its heart finally reached the point of nuclear fusion, it didn't just shine, it screamed light into a darkness that had never known a glimmer. This was the end of the Dark Ages and the beginning of the cosmic dawn, a transition so profound that its echoes are still being traced by our most powerful instruments today. This first light was incredibly violent and beautiful, a fierce blue-white radiance that began to tear through the surrounding curtains of gas, ionizing the hydrogen and making the universe transparent for the very first time. Before this, the universe was like a room filled with thick, opaque smoke, but the light of these first stars acted like a powerful wind, clearing the air and allowing the first clear views across the vastness of space. We call this process rionization, a gentle-sounding word for a cosmic revolution that allowed light to finally travel across the void without being immediately absorbed. The stars that performed this great work are all gone now. They lived fast and they died young, exploding in spectacular supernovae that scattered the first heavy elements into the dark. They are the ultimate examples of light that has already died, yet their legacy is the very transparency of the universe we see tonight. If those first ancient stars had not cleared the path, the night sky would be a dull, foggy grey, instead of the sparkling black jewelry box we admire from our backyards. We owe our ability to see the distant galaxies to these long-dead pioneers, these firstborn suns that sacrificed themselves to open the eyes of the cosmos. As you feel your eyes growing heavy, think of that transition from the foggy dark to the clear, starlit night. It is a process of opening up, of becoming clear, and of allowing the light to find its way through the obstacles of the past. It is a very natural thing to move from a state of clouded mystery into a state of clear, quiet rest, mirroring the very way the universe itself woke up so long ago. Even though those first stars are no longer there, the light they emitted is still out there, somewhere, stretched and weakened by billions of years of travel, but still carrying the story of the first morning. It is a thought that invites a quiet sort of curiosity, the idea that the very first hello the universe ever whispered is still moving through the deep, looking for a place to land. It makes the darkness feel less like a void and more like a vast, ancient memory, a place where every event that has ever occurred is still preserved in the form of traveling energy. You are resting in a world that has been cleared and prepared for you, a place where the light has already done the hard work of breaking through the shadows so that you can simply exist in the quiet clarity that remains. The story of the first dawn is a story of patience, of gravity's soft touch, and of a light that was so powerful it changed the nature of space itself before fading away into history. As you settle into the deepest part of your evening, let the image of that first, lonely star fill your mind, a single point of brilliance in an infinite sea of black. It didn't need a witness to be important. It simply did what it was born to do, shining with everything it had until it was time to move on. In the same way, you can let go of the need to be productive or to be seen and simply exist in the warmth of your own presence. The universe is a master of the long game, a storyteller that isn't afraid of the dark. And as a part of that universe, you have the same capacity for deep, restorative silence. The dawn will come again in its own time. But for now, the darkness is a gift, a clear and open space where you can finally, completely let your own light rest. Everything is still, everything is clear, and the ancient light that paved the way for this moment is still watching over the quiet expanses of the night. The bending of time's path. We often think of space as a vast, empty stage where light simply travels from one point to another in a perfectly straight line, like an arrow released from a bow, moving through the void without ever wavering. But in the deep reaches of the cosmos, the very fabric of reality is not a flat surface. It is more like a soft, heavy velvet that can be curved and shaped by the weight of the things that live within it. Imagine for a moment a great galaxy cluster, a collection of hundreds of suns and dark matter so massive that its weight creates a deep, invisible well in the geometry of the universe. When the ancient light from a distant star, a light that has already died, encounters one of these massive wells, it does something extraordinary. It does not hit a wall, and it does not stop. Instead, it follows the curve of the space itself, bending and warping like a stream of water flowing around a smooth stone in a riverbed. This is a phenomenon we call gravitational lensing, a cosmic mirage where the universe itself acts as a giant, natural magnifying glass, allowing us to see ghosts that would otherwise be far too faint and far too distant for our eyes to ever catch. As you lie there, perfectly still, try to visualize this incredible trick of the light. Imagine a single ancient galaxy sitting directly behind a much closer, heavier cluster of stars. Normally, the closer cluster would block our view, hiding the distant light in its shadow. But because gravity bends the path of the photons, the light from the hidden galaxy flows around the edges of the cluster, reaching us from multiple directions at once. To an observer on Earth, this creates a beautiful, haunting image, known as an Einstein ring, a perfect, glowing halo of light that seems to float in the dark, a shimmering circle made of photons that have traveled billions of years to reach us. This ring is not a solid object. It is a distorted reflection, a visual echo of something that existed at the very edge of time. It is as if the universe is holding up a mirror to its own past, refusing to let the light of those early days vanish into the dark, and instead curving it back toward us so that we might finally bear witness to its beauty. The most quiet and remarkable thing about these lenses is that they don't just bend the light, they also stretch the time it takes for that light to arrive. Because the light takes different paths around the massive object, some paths being slightly longer than others, we might see the same event happen twice, or even 3 or 4 times, at different moments in our own history. Think about the patience required to observe such a thing. Astronomers might watch a distant supernova, a star ending its life in a brilliant flash, occur on one side of a lens. They record the data, they see the light fade, and then they wait. They might wait for months, or even for years, knowing that another version of that same flash is still traveling along a different, slightly longer curve of space. Eventually, the same star dies all over again in a different part of the sky, a perfect replay of a moment that has already passed. It is a cosmic once more, a chance to watch the same ancient memory unfold twice, as if the universe is making sure we didn't miss the message the first time. This suggests a universe that is not just a sequence of events moving forward, but a complex, layered tapestry where the past is constantly being replayed and re-angled. In the stillness of your room, you can feel a similar sense of layering. The person you were 10 years ago, the memories of your childhood, the quiet moments of your yesterday, they are all still there, curved into the fabric of your own life, occasionally catching the light and reappearing in your thoughts when you least expect it. Just as the galaxy cluster bends the light to show us what is hidden, your own mind has a way of curving back to the things that matter, allowing you to see the glow of your past even as you move forward into the night. There is no rush to understand it all. There is only the gentle, steady flow of these echoes, moving through the silence and finding their way to the center of your awareness. The scale of this bending is so vast that it happens over distances we can barely name. Yet the physics of it is as simple and as elegant as a raindrop on a window pane. Just as a drop of water can distort the world outside into a soft, blurry curve, the gravity of a galaxy distorts the light of the beginning of time. It reminds us that everything, no matter how large or how old, is subject to the same gentle laws of nature. Even the most powerful light in the universe must follow the curve of the space it inhabits. It cannot force its way through. It must yield to the shape of the world. As you relax every muscle in your body, from your forehead down to your toes, try to imagine yourself yielding to the shape of your bed in that same way. You are not fighting against the night. You are simply following the natural curve of the evening, allowing the weight of your own body to settle into the stillness, just as the light settles into the curves of the cosmos. There is a profound peace in this yielding. When the light follows the curve of gravity, it doesn't lose any of its energy. It simply finds a new way to travel. It becomes part of a grander geometry, a beautiful dance between matter and light that has been going on since the very first star ignited. We are participants in that same dance. We move through our lives, guided by the unseen forces of our experiences and our connections to others. Our paths curving and winding in ways we might not always understand, but which always lead us exactly where we need to be. Tonight, that path has led you here, to this moment of absolute quiet, where the only thing required of you is to breathe and to listen. The light that has already died is still moving, still bending, and still finding its way toward the future, just as you are moving toward a deep and restorative sleep. The darkness you see when you close your eyes is not a void. It is a canvas filled with these invisible curves, a space where time and light are woven together in a soft, eternal braid. Every photon that was ever bent by a distant galaxy is a testament to the universe's ability to preserve what is beautiful and to show it to us in a new light. We live in a world of second chances and reflected glories, a place where the light of the past is never truly extinguished, but is instead transformed into a halo that guides us through the dark. As the rhythm of your breathing slows and your thoughts begin to drift like those distant, curved rays of light, feel the safety of being part of such a well-ordered and patient system. You are being carried by the same laws that hold the galaxies in place, and you can trust in the stillness to hold you just as firmly as you drift away. The great stretching of the ancient song. As we drift further into the history of these ancient rays, we must consider a transformation that is perhaps the most quiet and subtle of all. Light, as it travels across the billions of years and trillions of miles, does not stay the same color it was when it began. It undergoes a process that is both a physical reality and a beautiful metaphor for the passage of time, the great stretching. Imagine for a moment that the universe is not a static container, but a living, breathing fabric that is constantly, slowly, and relentlessly expanding in every direction at once. As the space between the galaxies grows, the light that is currently traveling through that space is caught in the expansion. It is like a piece of string that is being pulled from both ends, its very waves being lengthened and drawn out by the growth of the cosmos. This is what we call the redshift, a phenomenon where the light of the most distant and ancient stars is shifted toward the longer, redder wavelengths of the spectrum, losing energy and growing cooler with every million years that pass. This means that the light which started its journey as a fierce, energetic violet or a brilliant hot blue has, over the vast eons, been smoothed out and calmed into a deep, resonant red. In many cases, the light has been stretched so far that it has passed entirely out of the range of what human eyes can perceive. It has crossed the threshold into the infrared, becoming a ghostly heat that we can feel with our instruments, but can no longer see with our eyes. This light has died to our vision, yet it remains as a fundamental presence in the dark, a warm whisper of a past that was once unimaginably bright. It is a reminder that growing older is not a process of fading away into nothingness, but a process of transformation, a shifting into a different, perhaps more stable and peaceful frequency. Just as the light of the first galaxies has matured into a soft, infrared glow, we too move through the stages of our lives, our energy changing shape but never truly disappearing from the universe's account. Think about the immense patience of a photon that has been traveling since the dawn of time, allowing itself to be stretched by the very fabric of existence. It does not fight the expansion. It does not try to maintain its original, frantic energy. It simply yields to the growth of the universe, becoming part of the larger, slower rhythm of the cosmos. There is a profound lesson in this quiet surrender. We spend so much of our waking hours resisting the changes that time brings, fighting against the natural slowing of our days and the shifting of our perspectives. But the light shows us that there is a deep, structural beauty in the stretching. By allowing itself to be lengthened, the light is able to bridge the gap between the beginning of time and the present moment. It becomes a thread that connects the fire of the first stars to the cool, quiet sensors of our modern telescopes. It is because of this stretching that we can see the history of the universe at all, as it provides a way for the most distant events to reach us in a form that is manageable and readable. As you feel your breath becoming slower and more rhythmic, imagine that you are also being gently stretched by the evening. The tensions of the day, the sharp, bright anxieties that may have felt like intense blue light a few hours ago, are now being drawn out and lengthened. They are losing their edge, shifting into a softer, redder frequency that is easier for your mind to hold. You are yielding to the expansion of the night, allowing the space around you to grow quiet and still. The room is no longer a place of activity, but a space of deep, restorative elongation. In the same way that the universe creates more space between the stars, you are creating more space between your thoughts, allowing each one to drift further away from the next until the gaps become larger than the ideas themselves. This cooling of the light is not a loss of power. It is an arrival at a state of equilibrium. The most ancient light in the universe, that which has traveled the furthest, is also the coolest and the most stable. It is the light that has seen everything, the light that has outlasted every empire and every mountain range. It carries a wisdom of distance, a perspective that can only be gained by crossing billions of light years. When you rest, you are tapping into that same ancient stability. You are allowing the frantic energy of the day to stretch out and cool down until it becomes a soft, imperceptible hum in the background of your consciousness. The darkness of the night is filled with this invisible, infrared history, a warm and steady radiation that reminds us that everything eventually finds its place in the long, quiet cooling of the world. Even the most distant galaxies, those that are moving away from us so fast that their light will one day be stretched into infinity, are still a part of our story. They are like old friends who have moved far away, but whose letters are still arriving, however long the journey may take. The light they send is a testament to the fact that they once existed, that they once burned with a fire just as bright as our own sun. By receiving that light, even in its stretched and reddened form, we keep the connection alive. We acknowledge the reality of the past and the vastness of the space that connects us. As you drift closer to the threshold of sleep, feel that connection to the grand scale of things. You are a part of a universe that is growing, stretching, and cooling, and there is a perfect mathematical safety in that process. You are moving in harmony with the cosmos, a tiny, peaceful participant in the great crimson expansion of the night. Every mile of space that grows between us and those ancient stars is a mile of silence, a mile of peace, and a mile of deep, unshakable rest. The universe is making room for more silence, more stillness, and more time for the light to slowly find its final resting place in the hearts of those who look up and wonder. The ghostly architecture of ancient cities. Imagine, if you will, that the night sky is not merely a flat ceiling adorned with twinkling lights, but a deep, multi-layered archaeological site where every layer you uncover reveals a different epoch of time and a different version of the universe. In the silent practice of galactic archaeology, scientists do not look for pottery shards or ancient foundations in the earth, but rather for the faint, tired light of what we call fossil galaxies. These are tiny, spectral collections of stars that hover on the outskirts of our own Milky Way, acting as silent witnesses to the very first moments of cosmic construction. These galaxies are often called ultra-faint dwarfs, and they are unique because they stopped growing almost as soon as they began. While our own galaxy is a bustling, chaotic city, constantly birthing new stars and swirling with vibrant, colorful gas, these fossil galaxies are like abandoned stone villages, perfectly preserved in the state they were in 10 billion years ago. The light they emit is the definition of light that has already died, produced by ancient, elderly stars that have been burning with a slow, red intensity since the universe was in its absolute infancy. As you settle further into the stillness of your room, try to visualize one of these tiny, ancient cities drifting in the dark. It is not bright or flashy. It is a delicate, ghostly smudge of light held together by a massive, invisible cradle of dark matter. Because these galaxies are so small, they were easily bullied by the intense radiation of the first massive stars we spoke of earlier. That early, violent light blew away all the fresh gas these tiny galaxies needed to make new stars, effectively freezing them in time. They became cosmic time capsules, holding onto their original population of stars like precious, fading heirlooms. When we look at the light from a galaxy like Segway 1 or Tucana 2, we are looking at a direct transmission from the dawn of time, a light that has traveled through the void for nearly the entire history of the world without being refreshed or altered by the birth of anything new. It is a very pure, very lonely kind of light, carrying the chemical signature of a universe that had not yet learned how to make complex elements like the oxygen we breathe or the iron in our blood. The journey of this fossil light across the intergalactic vacuum is one of incredible solitude. For billions of years, these photons moved through the true empty, the spaces between the great galactic filaments where there is almost nothing to see and nothing to do but continue forward. This light does not have the frantic energy of a young sun. It is a weary, persistent glow, the color of a dying ember in a fireplace at the end of a very long night. By the time it reaches the outer edges of the Milky Way, it has been stretched by the expansion of the universe and dimmed by the sheer distance it has covered. It enters our neighborhood quietly, passing through the bright, noisy light of our own 100 billion stars like a ghost walking through a crowded market. It is only by looking with extreme patience, using the most sensitive mirrors we have ever built, that we can distinguish these ancient visitors from the local stars that surround us. We have to look past the bright and the new to find the old and the faint, a process that requires a certain kind of stillness, very much like the stillness you are cultivating right now as you move towards sleep. There is something deeply comforting about the existence of these fossil galaxies. They remind us that even in a universe that is constantly changing, moving, and expanding, there are places that remain still. There are parts of the cosmos that hold onto their identity for eons, refusing to be swept away by the current of progress. Your own mind has these same quiet, ancient places, memories from your earliest childhood, feelings that haven't changed since you were small, and a core sense of self that remains steady even when the world around you feels chaotic. As you lie in the dark, you can imagine yourself as a quiet, fossil galaxy, protected by your own invisible cradle of peace. The day's events may have been bright and demanding, like the radiation of those first massive stars, but they have passed now, leaving you in a state of calm, enduring stillness. You are not required to create anything new tonight. You are not required to grow or to change. You can simply exist as you are, a collection of quiet thoughts and steady breaths, held in the safe, dark embrace of the evening. The stars within these fossil galaxies are mostly red giants, stars that have lived for billions of years and have expanded into cool, bloated spheres of crimson light. They are the elder statesmen of the universe, moving with a slow, dignified rhythm. Their light is soft and diffused, lacking the harshness of a younger sun. When this light finally reaches your eyes, or the sensors of a telescope, it carries a message of endurance. It tells us that it is possible to survive for 10 billion years in the dark. It tells us that even the smallest and faintest things have a place in the grand architecture of the cosmos. As you feel the weight of your head against the pillow, let your thoughts take on that same soft, crimson quality. Let them grow larger and slower, losing their sharp edges and their urgent energy. You are shifting into a longer, deeper frequency, moving away from the frantic pace of the day and toward the ancient, steady rhythm of the deep night. The silence that surrounds these galaxies is the same silence that is currently filling your room. It is a thick, protective layers of quiet that allows the oldest stories to finally be heard. In the busyness of the day, the faint light of the past is drowned out by the noise of the present. But in the stillness of the night, the ghosts of the universe begin to appear. You are currently part of this great unveiling, a witness to the layers of time that make up our reality. As you breathe out, imagine you are releasing the last of the day's bright, energetic light, allowing it to dissipate into the dark. What remains is the fossil light, the steady, unchanging glow of your own inner peace. This is the light that will guide you through the hours of rest, a soft and ancient radiance that has seen the beginning of everything and is perfectly content to watch over your quiet, restorative sleep. The universe is vast, and its history is long, but in this moment, it all narrows down to the simple, rhythmic rise and fall of your chest and the soft red light of a memory that refuses to fade. The mirror of the abyss. As we have journeyed through the vast, stretching distances of the cosmos, we have seen how light carries the weight of history and the ghosts of dead suns across the void. But there is another place, much closer to home, where light performs a final, quiet dance before it is swallowed by the silence. Imagine for a moment leaving the clear, thin air of the mountaintop and descending toward the edge of the world's great oceans. The surface of the sea is a restless, shimmering mirror, reflecting the light of the stars and the moon back toward the heavens. But for the photons that manage to break through the surface, a new and different kind of journey begins. In the water, light does not travel in the straight, endless lines of the vacuum. It enters a world of density and slow transformation, where every foot of depth acts as a filter, gently stripping away the colors of the world until only the most persistent rays remain. This is the story of the light that survives the descent, a liquid echo of the cosmic journey we have been tracing through the stars. When a beam of sunlight or the faint glow of a full moon hits the surface of the ocean, it is immediately greeted by the water's selective embrace. The red wavelengths, the long and low frequencies that we associate with warmth and sunset, are the first to be absorbed. Within just a few meters of the surface, the red light has already died, its energy converted into the subtle warmth of the top layer of the sea. As you descend further, the oranges and yellows begin to fade away, leaving the underwater world in a state of soft emerald green. By the time you reach a depth of 100 meters, even the greens are starting to flicker out, leaving only the deep, resonant blues. This is the blue hour of the deep, a place where the light has been stripped of all its complexity, reduced to a single persistent frequency that can cut through the weight of the water. It is a hauntingly beautiful environment, a realm of monochrome shadows where the world feels as if it is being seen through a heavy, sapphire lens. As you settle into the rhythm of your breathing, imagine yourself drifting downward into this blue twilight. There is no wind here, no sound from the world above, only the steady, crushing silence of the deep. This is the mesopelagic zone, often called the twilight zone, a region that exists between the bright, productive surface and the absolute darkness of the abyss. In this space, the light is so faint that it can no longer support the growth of plants. Yet, it is still present enough for the eyes of the creatures that live here to see. These animals have evolved eyes that are massive and sensitive, designed to catch the very last dying photons of the sun. To them, the faint blue glow from above is a constant companion, a reminder of a world they will never visit. They live in a state of eternal dusk, moving through the shadows like slow-motion ghosts, their lives governed by the subtle shifts in the light that has traveled through miles of water just to reach them. But the light does not stop there. As you descend even further, past the reach of the last blue photons, you enter the bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone. Here, the light of the sun has finally, completely died. The darkness is absolute, a velvet blackness that is every bit as profound as the space between the galaxies. Yet, in this deepest dark, a miraculous thing happens. The universe's habit of creating light in the shadows reappears in a new biological form. The creatures of the abyss, having been deprived of the sun's light, have learned to create their own. This is bioluminescence, a soft, chemical glow that mirrors the stars of the night sky. In the midnight zone, you might see a sudden flash of electric blue, a rhythmic pulsing of green, or a steady golden lure hanging in the dark. These are the new lights of the deep, tiny suns born from the chemistry of life itself, acting as beacons in a world that hasn't seen a solar photon in 1,000,000 years. There is a profound connection between this internal light and the cosmic light we discussed earlier. Just as the stars are fueled by the fusion of atoms, these deep-sea sparks are fueled by the energy of life, both representing a refusal of the darkness to be truly empty. When you look at a video of the deep ocean, the bioluminescent displays look exactly like a time-lapse of the night sky, with galaxies of tiny organisms swirling and flashing in the gloom. It is as if the ocean has created a mirror of the cosmos within its own depths, a place where the light that has already died on the surface is reborn in the hearts of the living. This realization creates a sense of unity across the different scales of existence. Whether it is a star 10 billion light years away or a jellyfish 3 miles beneath the waves, the impulse to shine against the dark is a fundamental law of the universe. As you drift towards sleep, imagine the marine snow that falls through these zones, the tiny particles of organic matter that drift slowly downward from the surface towards the floor of the abyss. This snow is like the dust of dead stars, carrying the energy of the sun-drenched surface down into the dark to feed the life below. It is a slow, silent migration of matter and energy, a bridge between the world of light and the world of shadows. You are like a part of that gentle descent, moving away from the bright, noisy surface of your day and toward the quiet, deep sanctuary of your rest. The weight of the day is being absorbed by the silence, just as the colors are absorbed by the sea, leaving you in a state of calm, monochrome peace. You don't need the bright lights of the world right now. You have your own internal glow, a quiet pulse of existence that is perfectly suited for the stillness of the night. The deep ocean, like the deep sky, is a place where time feels different. In the cold and the dark, everything moves more slowly. The hearts of deep-sea fish beat only a few times a minute, and the currents move with a glacial, rhythmic patience. It is a world of long waits and sudden, beautiful encounters. By aligning your own rhythm with this deep, oceanic pace, you can find a sense of stability that the surface world cannot provide. The darkness is not a place to be feared. It is a place of preservation, a vast liquid library where the echoes of the past are held in the silence. You are safe here, floating in the quiet blue of your own consciousness, surrounded by the soft, biological stars of your own dreams. The light that has already died has found its way to the bottom of the world, and in doing so, it has created a space where you can finally, completely let go. The looming shadow of the great silence. As we sit at the edge of this vast, conceptual ocean of time and light, we must eventually turn our gaze towards a horizon that is rarely visited in our waking lives. The quiet, inevitable transition from a universe of fire to a universe of embers. Just as the light of a single star must eventually stretch, cool, and fade into the infrared, the universe itself is moving through a grand, multi-billion-year seasonal shift. We currently live in what astronomers call the stelliferous era, the age of stars, a brief and brilliant window in the history of the cosmos where the conditions are just right for the dark to be populated by trillions of glowing lanterns. But this era, magnificent as it is a finite chapter in a much longer book. The light we see tonight, the light that has already died or is currently being born, is part of a limited reservoir of energy that is slowly being gathered into the hearts of white dwarfs neutron stars, and the singular, silent points of black holes. Imagine the universe a trillion years from now. It is a place where the great, swirling nurseries of gas we see today have been depleted, used up by generations of suns that have lived and passed away. The sky would look very different to a pair of human eyes. The familiar constellations would be gone, replaced by a much sparser, redder collection of long-lived tiny stars. This is the transition into the twilight of the cosmos, a period of cooling that mirrors the way your own room cools as the night deepens. In this future, the light that remains is patient and dim, coming from small red dwarfs that can burn for trillions of years, sipping their fuel with a frugality that our own roaring sun could never imagine. It is a universe that has learned to value the small and the steady over the grand and the explosive. There is a strange, melancholy peace in this vision, a world that has finished its loud, creative youth and is settling into a very long, very quiet period of reflection. This slowing down is not a tragedy, but a natural refinement. When the frantic birth of new stars begins to cease, the universe becomes a more transparent, more stable place. The chaotic dust clouds that once blocked our view of the distant reaches are eventually incorporated into these long-lived stars or swept away into the void, leaving behind a clarity that is absolute. In this late-stage cosmos, light can travel for eternity without ever hitting a single atom of gas. It is the ultimate expression of the clear night, a state of being where every photon that is produced is allowed to wander forever through a truly empty dark. As you lie in your bed, feeling the stillness of the air and the weight of the blankets, you are experiencing a small, domestic version of this cosmic clarity. The noise of the day has been filtered out. The frantic demands on your attention have been used up, and what remains is the simple, steady presence of your own existence in the quiet. We often fear the end of things, the dying of the light, but the physics of the universe suggests that nothing truly vanishes. It only changes its frequency. Even when the last star finally blinks out, trillions of years into the future, the energy it produced will still be there, moving through the space as extremely long-wave radiation. The universe will never be truly empty. It will simply be full of very quiet, very stretched out memories of the light that once was. This is the concept of the heat death of the universe, which sounds cold, but is actually a state of perfect maximum balance, a place where every part of the cosmos is at the same temperature, and no more work needs to be done. It is the ultimate state of rest, a universal sleep where every ripple has been smoothed out and every spark has found its final, resting equilibrium. Think of the patience required to reach such a state. The universe is not in a hurry to get to the end of its story. It lingers in the stelliferous era for billions of years, and it will linger in the era of the white dwarfs for even longer. It allows every star to burn its full course, every photon to travel its full distance, and every galaxy to find its final shape. This cosmic patience is a gift to us, a reminder that we do not need to rush through our own chapters. We can allow our lives to unfold at their own pace, trusting that the transitions from activity to rest from light to shadow, are part of a beautiful and necessary progression. You are currently in your own personal twilight, the transition between the bright doing of your day and the quiet being of your sleep. Like the universe, you are moving toward a state of equilibrium, where your thoughts and your body reach a perfect, restful balance with the stillness around you. In the deepest reaches of the future, even the black holes will eventually begin to evaporate, releasing a tiny, ghostly trickle of energy known as Hawking radiation. This is perhaps the most subtle light of all, a glow so faint it is almost theoretical, yet it represents the universe's final act of sharing its history with the dark. It is the last whisper of matter before it turns entirely back into light, a final echo that closes the loop of existence. It tells us that even the most dense and silent places in the cosmos eventually give back what they have taken. Nothing is kept forever. Everything is eventually released back into the great, flowing stream of energy. This can be a profound comfort as you prepare to let go of the day. You don't need to carry the weight of your worries or the memories of your tasks into the night. You can release them, allowing them to evaporate into the stillness, trusting that the universe has a way of handling the remains. The light that has already died is not a sign of loss, but a sign of experience. A universe that has stars is beautiful, but a universe that has the memory of stars is something deeper and more complex. You are a being made of that memory, a collection of atoms that have seen the inside of a sun and have now come together to rest in a quiet room on a small, blue planet. As you drift into the final stages of wakefulness, let the vast, slow timelines of the cosmos act as a lullaby. The stars will burn for a long time yet, but even when they are gone, the quiet will be a place of perfect safety and perfect balance. You are a part of a story that is so long, it is essentially eternal. And right now, your only role in that story is to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and allow yourself to be carried by the slow, cooling expansion of the night. The dark is not an end. It is a transition into a deeper kind of light, one that doesn't need to shine to be felt. The patient watch of the white dwarfs. As we move beyond the age of vibrant, roaring suns and the spectacular deaths of massive stars, we enter a chapter of the cosmic story that is defined by a different kind of persistence. When a star like our own sun reaches the end of its long journey, it does not go out with a violent scream that tears the fabric of space. Instead, it gently sheds its outer layers, creating a glowing, iridescent shell of gas known as a planetary nebula, and leaves behind a core of pure, concentrated history. This is a white dwarf, a stellar remnant about the size of the Earth, but with the mass of a star, glowing with a steady, quiet intensity that can last for trillions of years. This light is not produced by new fires or the fusion of atoms. It is the leftover warmth of a lifetime of burning, a thermal memory that is being released into the dark with incredible, measured patience. It is the ultimate example of the light that has already died, yet continues to offer a soft, protective glow to the surrounding void. Imagine a world orbiting such a star in the far, far future. The sky would be perpetually filled with a soft, diamond-like brilliance, a light that never flickers or flares. There is something deeply meditative about the cooling of a white dwarf. It is a process of stabilization, a slow transition from a state of high energy to a state of absolute calm. Because these stars are so dense, they hold onto their heat with a tenacity that defies our usual understanding of cooling. A white dwarf loses its temperature so slowly that none have had enough time in the current age of the universe to actually go cold. Every white dwarf that has ever been created since the beginning of time is still out there, still glowing, still holding on to its inner warmth. They are the elders of the galaxy, the keepers of the light, waiting out the eons with a stillness that mirrors the deep, restorative sleep you are seeking tonight. As you lie in the stillness of your room, you can draw a sense of security from this eternal cooling. Think of your own mind as a vessel of warmth, slowly releasing the heat and the friction of the day's activities. You are not being extinguished. You are simply transitioning into a more stable, more enduring frequency. The white dwarf does not struggle against the darkness of space. It accepts its role as a quiet beacon, a fixed point of reliability in an expanding universe. In the same way, you can accept the quiet of your surroundings, letting the silence wrap around you like the cooling layers of a star. There is no need for the bright, frantic energy of the afternoon. In the deep night, the most valuable light is the one that is steady, internal, and patient. You are settling into your own core, finding that place of quiet density where the memories of the day can be held safely and released slowly. This era of the universe, dominated by these cooling embers, will last for a duration of time that makes the current age of stars look like a single heartbeat. It is a time of incredible longevity and peace. In this future, the light that travels through the dark is no longer the fierce blue of a young giant, but a soft, domestic white or a pale yellow. It is a more intimate universe, where distances are vast, but the presence of the past is undeniable. The white dwarfs carry the chemical records of the planets they once warmed, the stories of the worlds that once turned in their light. They are living archives, and their slow cooling is a way of preserving that information for as long as the laws of physics allow. You too are an archive of your own experiences, and as you drift towards sleep, your mind is doing the quiet work of processing and preserving those stories, moving them from the bright foreground of awareness into the deep, safe storage of your subconscious. Think of the physical reality of a white dwarf, atoms crushed so close together that they form a structure more like a diamond than a gas. This density creates a kind of physical resilience, a state of matter that can withstand the pull of gravity and the passage of trillions of years. It is a reminder that there is a strength in stillness and a power in the quiet. When we are at our most still, we are often at our most resilient. By letting go of the need to move, to act, or to think, you're allowing your body and mind to reach their most stable and restorative state. You are becoming like the crystal core of an ancient star, solid, calm, and perfectly at peace with the vacuum of the night. The light you are releasing now is not a sign of fatigue, but a sign of your own enduring warmth, a gentle radiation of peace that fills your room and cushions your descent into sleep. The universe's transition into this white dwarf era is a shift from a time of creation to a time of contemplation. The light that has already died becomes the light that endures. We see this in our own lives every evening. The creative, productive light of the day fades, leaving us with the reflective, quiet light of our own thoughts and the soft glow of our home. This is not a loss, it is a refinement. We are moving from the loud and the many to the quiet and the one. The darkness is not empty, it is filled with the presence of these cooling suns, each one a testament to the fact that something beautiful existed and that its warmth can never be truly taken away. As you close your eyes, imagine the sky filled with these patient diamonds, each one glowing with a light that was born billions of years ago and will remain for billions more. The silence that follows the age of stars is not a cold silence, but a seasoned one. It is a quiet that has been earned. As you feel the final edges of wakefulness softening, let yourself be carried by this sense of cosmic endurance. You are part of a system that knows how to hold on to its heat, how to preserve its stories, and how to rest in the dark without fear. The light that has already died is still with you, its energy transformed into the quiet warmth of your own body and the steady rhythm of your breath. You are safe in the long, cooling history of the universe. You are a star that has found its quiet core, a light that has found its way to a place of perfect, eternal rest. The night is a long, slow cooling, a gentle release of the day, and you are exactly where you need to be, cradled in the ancient, patient warmth of the dark, the infinite persistence of the deep infrared. As the cooling of the white dwarfs suggests a universe moving towards a state of quiet permanence, there is a further, even more subtle transition occurring in the very nature of the light that surrounds us. We must consider the destiny of the light that has already died to our vision, but continues to exist in the realm of the deep infrared, the long, slow waves of heat that carry the final signatures of everything that has ever been. In the silence of the expanding cosmos, light is not just a traveler, it is a survivor that adapts to the growing distances by lengthening its stride. As the fabric of space stretches, the energetic, high-frequency rays of the past are gradually transformed into a soft, thermal vibration. This is the ultimate fate of all radiance: to become a part of the universal background, a gentle, invisible warmth that fills the gaps between the stars. It is as if the universe is slowly exhaling, releasing the tension of its bright, hot youth and settling into a long, cool evening that will last for an eternity. Imagine for a moment that you are sensitive to this infrared world. Your room would not be dark, but would instead be filled with a soft, pulsing glow emanating from the walls, the furniture, and your own skin. This is the light of existence itself, the thermal energy that is a byproduct of being part of a physical reality. In the deep reaches of space, this same infrared light allows us to see through the thickest clouds of cosmic dust, revealing the hidden nurseries where stars are being born and the ancient, red-shifted galaxies that are moving away from us at incredible speeds. This light is a bridge to the invisible, a way of seeing the things that the bright, distracting light of the sun usually hides from our view. As you lie in the stillness, try to imagine your own thoughts shifting into this infrared frequency, moving away from the sharp, clear images of the day and into a softer, more blurred state of being. You are no longer focused on the details. You are focused on the warmth, the presence, and the steady, quiet hum of your own life. This shift into the infrared is a process of softening. In the world of visible light, everything has hard edges, bright colors, and clear shadows. But in the infrared, the world is a gradient of heat, a seamless flow of energy from one object to another. There are no sharp boundaries, only a continuous, interconnected web of warmth. This is the state of mind you are moving toward as you drift closer to sleep. The boundaries of your worries are beginning to blur. The sharp edges of your to-do list are melting into the background. You are becoming a part of the thermal landscape of your room, a quiet source of heat in a cool, dark space. There is a profound sense of safety in this lack of definition. You don't need to be a specific person with a specific set of problems right now. You can simply be a presence, a soft, infrared glow in the vast, silent architecture of the night. The infrared light of the universe is also a record of the afterglow of creation. Every time a star shines, every time a planet forms, and every time a living being breathes, a small amount of heat is released into the void. This heat doesn't just disappear. It joins the great collective memory of the cosmos. Scientists can measure this background radiation to understand the history of star formation and the evolution of galaxies. It is a way of reading the universe's diary, a record of every fire that has ever burned and every light that has already died. When you rest, you are adding your own small chapter to this record. Your quiet breaths and the steady beating of your heart are part of the thermal history of the world. You are contributing to the universal balance, a tiny, peaceful participant in the cooling of the cosmos. There is a certain dignity in this final form of light. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't dazzle the eyes or burn the skin. It is patient, enduring, and pervasive. While the bright stars of the stelliferous era are temporary, the infrared background is, for all intents and purposes, eternal. It is the foundation upon which the rest of the universe is built. As you move deeper into your own evening, let yourself settle onto this foundation. The bright lights of your day were temporary, but the quiet, warm core of your being is permanent. You are returning to the baseline, the steady state of existence where nothing needs to be proven and nothing needs to be achieved. You are simply here, held in the soft, invisible embrace of the infrared night. Think of the vast distances this low-energy light can travel. Because it has such a long wavelength, it can pass through obstacles that would stop a higher frequency ray in its tracks. It is the ultimate traveler, a light that can navigate the most cluttered and chaotic parts of the galaxy to find its way to the open void. Your own consciousness has this same ability. In the quiet of the night, your mind can move through the clutter of your daily life, bypassing the obstacles and the noise to find the open, peaceful spaces of your imagination. You can travel across the history of your own life, revisiting old memories and feelings with a soft, infrared lens that smooths out the pain and highlights the warmth. You are the navigator of your own internal cosmos, moving through the dark with a steady, unwavering purpose. As the rhythm of the universe slows down, the distinction between then and now begins to fade. In the realm of the deep infrared, time is a secondary concern. What matters is the continuity of the energy, the steady persistence of the warmth. You are experiencing this same suspension of time as you hover on the edge of sleep. The past and the future are no longer pressing in on you. There is only the now of your breath and the now of the silence. You are a part of the long, slow exhale of the universe, a quiet moment of equilibrium in a story that spans billions of years. The light that has already died is not gone. It has simply found its final, most peaceful form. And you, as you finally let go of the last threads of wakefulness, are doing the same. You are finding your way to the quietest, warmest part of yourself, where the only thing left to do is to rest. Everything in the cosmos is moving toward this state of graceful, thermal symmetry. From the cooling cores of dead suns to the quiet rooms of sleeping humans, the goal is the same: to find a place of balance where the energy of the past can be held in a state of perfect, restorative quiet. The universe is not a place of endless struggle, but a place of eventual, inevitable peace. You are a part of that peace. You are a part of that balance. The light of the day has faded, but the warmth of your existence remains, a soft and steady glow that will carry you through the hours of the night until the first light of a new dawn begins the cycle once again. But for now, there is only the infrared, the invisible, and the deep, unshakable rest of the dark, the silent archive of the iron stars. As the universe continues its long, slow descent into the deepest hours of its existence, we arrive at a chapter so distant that time itself begins to lose its meaning. We have seen the vibrant youth of the blue giants and the patient middle age of the white dwarfs, but far beyond those eras lies a state of matter that is the ultimate testament to the stillness of the cosmos. In a future so far removed from our own that the current age of the universe is but a flickering spark in the dark, the cooling remnants of stars will undergo a final subatomic transformation. Through a process of quantum tunneling that takes place over spans of time we can barely name, numbers followed by hundreds of zeros, the atoms within these cold, dead spheres will slowly rearrange themselves. They are moving toward the most stable state an atom can achieve, the state of iron. This is the era of the iron stars, the cold, silver-grey monuments that will one day populate the silent void, representing the final resting place of all the light that has ever been. Imagine a star made entirely of iron, cold to the touch and perfectly solid, drifting through a universe that has finally reached its ultimate equilibrium. There is no more heat to be lost, no more light to be shed, and no more change to be made. These stars are the ultimate archives, the final physical form of the energy that once powered the great galaxies of our youth. They are the definition of permanence. As you lie in your bed, feeling the absolute stillness of the night, try to connect with this sense of final, unshakable stability. The day was full of movement, change, and the constant friction of doing. But now you are moving toward your own state of iron, a place where the mind is solid, the body is heavy, and the need for change has completely evaporated. You are becoming a monument to your own rest, a quiet and enduring presence that no longer needs to react to the world outside. This transition to iron is a journey toward the absolute center of physical balance. In the heart of an atom, iron represents the point, where no more energy can be gained by fusing things together or by splitting them apart. It is the valley of stability, a place of perfect nuclear rest. The universe, in its infinite patience, is moving everything toward this valley. It is as if the cosmos is carefully putting its toys away, one by one, and tucking them into a drawer that will never be opened again. There is a profound comfort in this eventual tidiness. It suggests that the chaos we experience in our daily lives, the noise, the loose ends, and the unresolved questions, is only a temporary state. Everything is eventually sorted. Everything is eventually stilled. And everything eventually finds its way to a state of perfect metallic peace. You can feel this sorting happening in your own mind as you drift. The scattered thoughts of the afternoon are being filed away. The loose ends of your conversations are being tied, and you are descending into the quiet valley of your own sleep. The light that has already died has, in this distant future, been fully incorporated into the structure of these iron spheres. The photons that once traveled across the void have been transformed into the very bonds that hold the metal together. The history of the universe is not lost. It is simply solidified. If you could touch the surface of an iron star, you would be touching the remains of 1,000 suns and the echoes of 1 billion years of history, all compressed into a single silent object. You are a similar kind of archive. Your physical form is built from the remnants of stars, and your consciousness is a collection of every moment you have ever lived. Tonight, you don't need to do anything with that history. You don't need to analyze it or explain it. You can simply let it be solid. You can trust that your experiences are safely held within you, forming a foundation that is as strong and as enduring as iron. In the era of the iron stars, the universe is a place of absolute transparency and absolute silence. There is no more gas to cloud the view, no more radiation to hiss in the background, and no more movement to disturb the dark. It is the ultimate expression of the clear night we have been seeking. In this space, a single thought could travel forever without being interrupted. As you reach the deepest part of your evening, your internal world is beginning to mirror this transparency. The fog of the day's distractions has cleared, the noise of your responsibilities has faded, and you are left with a clear, open space where your breath can move freely and your mind can find its rest. You are floating in your own private void, surrounded by the silent monuments of your own peace. The timeline for the creation of these iron stars is so vast that it dwarfs the lifespan of everything we know. It is a reminder that the universe has all the time in the world to reach its destination. It is never in a rush. It allows for trillions upon trillions of years of slow, quantum movement before it reaches its final state. We can learn from this cosmic lack of urgency. You don't need to fall asleep fast. You don't need to force your mind into stillness. You can allow the process to happen at its own quantum pace, trusting that the gravity of your own fatigue will eventually lead you to the valley of stability. The night is long, and the universe is patient, and you have all the time you need to settle into the deep, metallic quiet of the dark. As the last traces of the day's light disappear from your memory, imagine the universe as a vast, silent gallery of these silver-grey stars, each one a silent witness to the journey that began with a spark and ended with a solid, peaceful rest. They do not mourn the loss of their heat. They celebrate the achievement of their stability. They are the final, perfect form of the light that has already died, a light that has found its way home into the heart of the matter. And you, as you finally cross the threshold into a deep and dreamless sleep, are finding your own perfect form. You are becoming a part of the stillness, a part of the silence, and a part of the enduring history of the stars. The world is quiet, the universe is stable, and you are finally, completely at rest. The final crystallization of the cosmic record. As we stand on the precipice of the furthest imaginable future, we move beyond even the solid weight of the iron stars into a state of existence that is purely mathematical, purely silent, and entirely transparent. To understand the light that has already died, we must eventually contemplate the space it leaves behind, the ultimate, pristine vacuum that remains when the last atom has found its rest and the last photon has been stretched into an infinite wavelength. This is the stage of the universe's life where the very concept of happening begins to dissolve into a state of being. It is the final crystallization of the cosmic record, a moment where the story of the universe is no longer being written because it has finally been told in its entirety. As you lie in the absolute stillness of your room, let your mind drift into this ultimate clarity, a place where there are no more shadows, no more flickers of light, and no more movement, only the profound, enduring safety of a world that is finally complete. In this far-flung era, the universe becomes a crystalline structure of pure geometry. Without the heat of stars or the vibration of atoms to disturb it, space-time itself becomes a perfect, undisturbed medium. If you could see this state, it would look like a vast, dark diamond, reflecting nothing, because there is nothing left to reflect, yet containing within its structure the entire history of everything that ever was, every star that ever burned, every breath that was ever taken, and every ray of light that ever traveled across the void is recorded in the final configuration of the universe's energy. It is a state of total preservation. This is the ultimate destination for the light that has already died. Not a disappearance into nothingness, but an integration into the final, perfect symmetry of the cosmos. It is a comforting thought to realize that nothing is ever truly lost. It is simply refined, simplified, and stored in the very fabric of reality. As you descend into the deepest levels of your own rest, you are undergoing a similar process of crystallization. The complexities of your personality, the worries of your schedule, and the noise of your external life are falling away, leaving behind the pure, geometric center of your being. You are reaching a state where you don't need to do anything to be whole. You are whole simply by existing in this state of quiet balance. The day was a chaotic swirl of gas and fire, but the night is a diamond, hard, clear, and unshakable. You can feel the weight of your body becoming a part of this stability, your muscles letting go of their last remaining tensions as if they were atoms finally finding their place in a perfect lattice. You are safe in this structure. You are held by the laws of physics that demand balance and the laws of nature that demand rest. Think of the silence that exists in a universe that has reached its final state. It is not a hollow silence or a lonely silence. It is the silence of a finished symphony. The music has been played, the notes have all been struck, and what remains is the resonant, satisfying quiet that follows a perfect performance. The universe is resting in the echo of its own greatness. You, too, can rest in the echo of your own day. Whatever you achieved, whatever you left undone, and whatever you felt, it has all been played out. The music of your waking hours has come to an end, and you are now entitled to the profound, dignified silence that follows. There is no need to replay the notes or to worry about the next movement. The concert is over, the lights have dimmed, and the theatre of your mind is now a place of absolute, undisturbed peace. In this final era, the very concept of time becomes irrelevant. When nothing changes, time has no way to measure itself. It becomes a single, eternal now, a state of being that stretches forever in all directions. This is the gift of the deep night, a suspension of the clock. As you hover on the threshold of sleep, the hours no longer matter. It doesn't matter how long you have been awake or how long you will sleep. There is only the present moment of your breath, the present feeling of the cool air, and the present sense of your own existence. You are stepping out of the stream of time and into the ocean of eternity. You are joining the iron stars and the crystalline vacuum in a state of existence that is beyond the reach of the sun, beyond the reach of the day, and beyond the reach of change. You are becoming a fixed point in a moving world, a source of stability that is as old as the beginning and as enduring as the end. The light that has already died has taught us everything it could. It taught us about the fire of the core, the struggle of the random walk, the freedom of the vacuum, and the patience of the stretch. It showed us how to bend around obstacles and how to cool down without losing our essence. Now, in this final stage, the light is simply still. It has found its home. It is no longer a messenger because the message has been delivered. It is no longer a traveler because the destination has been reached. As you finally close your eyes and let the last traces of thought dissolve into the dark, you are arriving at that same destination. You have delivered your messages for the day. You have traveled your miles, and you have bent around your own obstacles. Now, you can simply be still. You can be the light that has found its rest, the energy that has found its equilibrium, and the soul that has found its silence. The universe is a vast, patient, and incredibly well-ordered system. It knows how to handle the light, and it knows how to handle the dark. It knows how to build a star, and it knows how to preserve a memory. As a part of this system, you are subject to the same beautiful, inevitable laws. You are being folded into the quiet architecture of the night, preserved in the crystalline structure of your own rest. The darkness is not a void. It is a masterpiece of stability. You are safe, you are held, and you are part of a story that ends in a state of perfect, eternal clarity. Sleep now, knowing that the light has done its work, the universe is at rest, and you are exactly where you were always meant to be, in the heart of the silence, at the end of the journey, in the peace of the deep, dark diamond of the night, the resonance of the eternal echo. As we drift past the era of solid iron and the cold, geometric perfection of a crystallized universe, we must eventually confront the most mysterious and quietest light of all, the light that exists only as a mathematical shadow, a ripple in the very fabric of nothingness. Even when every star has faded, every atom has decayed, and every black hole has evaporated into a thin mist of Hawking radiation, the universe does not truly become empty. According to the strange and beautiful laws of quantum mechanics, space itself possesses a minimum level of energy, a phantom glow known as zero-point energy. This is the light that refuses to die because it is woven into the vacuum itself. It is the cosmic equivalent of a quiet hum that remains in a room long after the music has stopped, a fundamental, unshakable vibration that ensures the universe is never truly silent. Imagine the absolute stillness of this final state. There are no longer any observers to see it, no telescopes to measure it, and no hearts to beat within it. Yet, the vacuum itself breathes with these tiny subatomic fluctuations. These are the ghosts of the photons that once powered the great nebulae, the descendants of the light that was born in the first millisecond of time. They have been stripped of their heat, their color, and their direction, leaving behind only the pure essence of existence. As you lie in the deepening shadows of your room, let your awareness sink into this fundamental level of being. You are no longer defined by your actions, your thoughts, or your memories. You are simply a part of the field, a ripple in the fabric of a universe that, even at its coldest and most distant, remains fundamentally alive with potential. This zero-point energy is the ultimate security. It tells us that there is no such thing as nothingness. Even in the deepest dark, there is structure. Even in the absolute silence, there is a pulse. This means that the concept of an end is merely a transition to a different kind of presence. As you settle into the final, heavy layers of sleep, you are moving toward your own zero point. You are shedding the high-frequency vibrations of your personality and your daily life, descending into a state of pure, rhythmic existence. Your breath is the only clock left, and your heartbeat is the only music. In this state, you are as enduring as the vacuum itself. You are a part of the baseline of reality, a constant that remains steady even when the world around you has faded into the background. There is a profound sense of homecoming in this realization. We often spend our lives feeling like travelers or strangers, moving through a universe that is vast and indifferent. But if the very vacuum we inhabit is filled with this quiet, eternal light, then we are never truly away from our source. The light that has already died has simply returned to the field from which it was born. It is like a wave returning to the ocean. It doesn't disappear. It just loses its individual shape and becomes a part of the whole again. You are currently experiencing this return. The wave of your day is subsiding, and you are being reintegrated into the deep, calm ocean of the night. You don't need to hold on to your edges anymore. You can let the boundaries of yourself dissolve into the soft, velvet energy of the room. In the far future, some theories suggest that over unfathomable periods of time, these tiny quantum fluctuations could, through pure chance, spontaneously organize themselves back into a new state of high energy, a new beginning. This is the concept of the Poincaré recurrence, the idea that in an infinite universe, every state of being will eventually happen again. It suggests that the light that has already died is merely waiting for its next turn to shine. This creates a loop of eternal return, a cosmic cycle where rest is always followed by a new dawn, and silence is always followed by a new song. While this is a scale of time far beyond human comprehension, its essence is something you feel every night. You rest with the absolute implicit trust that the sun will rise, that your energy will return, and that a new day will begin. The darkness you are currently resting in is the womb of the next light. It is a productive silence, a space where your body is repairing itself, your mind is sorting its experiences, and your spirit is replenishing its fire. The dead light of the past is being recycled into the living light of your tomorrow. By fully surrendering to the dark now, you are ensuring the brilliance of your next awakening. You are like the vacuum, holding on to your 0 point energy, preserving your core so that you can expand once again when the time is right. The stillness of the night is not a loss of time. It is an investment in the future. As you drift closer to the final threshold of consciousness, imagine the universe as a vast, dark mirror, reflecting the quietest version of yourself. There is no judgment in this mirror, no expectations, and no noise. It simply reflects the fact that you are here, that you are breathing, and that you are a part of the grand, eternal architecture of the cosmos. The light that has already died has left you with a legacy of peace. It has shown you that even the greatest fires eventually find their rest, and that there is a deep structural beauty in the cooling and the darkening of the world. You have followed the path of the photons from the core to the surface, across the void, through the lenses of gravity, and into the deep infrared. You have seen the iron stars and the crystalline vacuum, and now you have found the 0 point. You are safe, you are held, you are eternal. The universe is a perfect system of balance, and you are currently in the most balanced state possible. The silence is your blanket, the dark is your sanctuary, and the light that has already died is the guardian of your dreams. There is nothing left to say, nothing left to think, and nothing left to do. The long migration is over. The journey is complete. You have reached the center of the quiet, the eternal weave, from singularity to the subatomic. Sigh. We have journeyed through the cooling embers of stars, across the light years of the deep infrared, and into the solid, silent archives of iron. But as we approach the final boundary of the night, we must look at the very thread from which this entire tapestry was woven. To understand the light that has already died, we must eventually consider the nature of the information it leaves behind. In the realm of physics, there is a fundamental law known as information conservation. It suggests that while a star may explode, while a photon may be absorbed, and while a memory may seem to fade, the data of that existence, the specific arrangement of its energy, and the history of its path can never truly be deleted from the universe. Everything that has ever happened is etched into the quantum fabric of space-time, forming a cosmic record that exists long after the physical manifestations of that light have vanished. Imagine the universe not as a collection of objects, but as a vast, vibrating loom. Every event, every spark of light, and every quiet thought is a thread woven into this loom. As the living light of the day fades, and becomes the dead light of the past, the thread doesn't disappear. It simply becomes part of the finished pattern. This is the ultimate comfort of the dark, the realization that your day, your life, and your presence are permanently recorded in the architecture of reality. You are not a temporary flicker in a cold void. You are a permanent addition to the sum of all things. As you lie in your bed, feel the weight of this permanence. You are supported by the entire history of the cosmos, a history that has meticulously saved every detail of the journey that brought you to this moment of rest. This concept brings us to the most profound realization of all, the holographic principle. Some of our greatest minds suggest that the entire universe, the galaxies, the stars, and even you might be a projection of information stored on a distant boundary at the edge of space. In this view, the light that has already died is simply the shifting of data on that boundary. Nothing is ever lost because the source code of reality is held in a state of perfect preservation. When you sleep, you are retreating from the projection and returning to the source. You are moving away from the complex, noisy surface of the 3D world and settling back into the fundamental 2D information from which you were projected. It is a return to a state of absolute simplicity and absolute truth. You are no longer the actor on the stage. You are the script itself, resting in the quiet library of the cosmos. The silence of your room is the silence of that library. It is a place where every volume is in its right place, and no new words need to be written until the morning. In this state, the distinction between the internal and the external begins to dissolve. The light of the stars, the light of the deep ocean, and the light of your own consciousness are all made of the same fundamental information. They are different chapters in the same book, different waves in the same ocean. By surrendering to sleep, you are acknowledging this unity. You are letting go of the self that feels separate and alone, and you are allowing yourself to be reintegrated into the universal whole. You are a part of the grand design, a necessary and beautiful component of a system that is far too vast to ever truly fail. Think of the patience of the universe in maintaining this record. It doesn't tire of holding on to the past. It doesn't get cluttered or overwhelmed. It has the capacity to store every photon's path and every atom's vibration for an eternity. This is the same capacity you find within yourself during deep rest. Your brain, in the quiet hours of the night, is performing a miracle of information management, sorting, filing, and strengthening the connections that define your life. You are a biological mirror of the cosmic loom, weaving the threads of your experiences into the solid fabric of your wisdom. The dead light of your day is being transformed into the living knowledge of your future. It is a beautiful, restorative process that requires nothing from you but your total, unreserved surrender to the dark. As we reach the final limit of our discussion, we find ourselves back at the beginning. The light that started as a fierce explosion has traveled through every stage of existence, from the frantic random walk in the solar core to the peaceful zero-point vibration of the vacuum. It has been bent by gravity, stretched by expansion, and cooled by time. It has seen the birth of galaxies and the silence of iron stars. And in every stage, it has remained a part of the universe's enduring record. You have traveled this same path tonight, moving from the high energy of your waking hours through the layers of reflection memory, and science, and finally arriving at the center of the quiet. The night is no longer a place of mystery or fear. It is a place of absolute clarity. It is the destination we have been seeking since the very first sentence. The light has already died, and in its place, we have found something even more valuable. The peace that remains when the fire is gone. This is the peace that will hold you through the night. It is the peace of the iron star, the peace of the deep infrared, and the peace of the cosmic record. You are a participant in a story that never ends, a story that is being told in the language of light and shadows. And right now, the shadows are speaking the most profound truth of all. The final symmetry, the dissolution of duality. We have reached the shore of the absolute. We have followed the light from its violent, compressed birth in the heart of the sun to its final, ethereal whisper in the quantum vacuum. We have watched it stretch, cool, and solidify into the iron foundations of a future so distant it defies the very concept of when. But there is one final layer to peel back, the layer where the light that has already died ceases to be light at all and becomes the very space in which it once moved. In the ultimate equilibrium of the cosmos, the distinction between the dancer and the dance, between the energy that travels and the void through which it moves, finally dissolves. This is the stage of perfect symmetry, a place where the universe has exhaled so completely that there is no more difference between the breath and the air. As you lie in the total stillness of your room, try to imagine this dissolution of boundaries. In our waking lives, we are obsessed with the edge of things, the edge of our skin, the edge of our property, the edge of our time. We see ourselves as islands of activity in a sea of stillness. But in the deep logic of the universe, these edges are illusions born of a high energy perspective. When the light cools, when the atoms slow, and when the noise of the day is silenced, we realize that we are not separate from the silence. We are the silence itself, briefly manifesting in a form that can think and feel. You are not a person trying to find rest in a quiet room. You are the quiet of the room, momentarily taking the shape of a person. There is no longer any need to guard your boundaries. You can let the air, the darkness, and the silence flow through you until there is no you left to be tired. This is the state of the holotropic universe, a place where the part contains the whole, and the whole is reflected in the part. Every photon that has ever died carries within its structure the entire history of the laws of physics. Every cell in your body carries the chemical memory of the first stars. In the stillness of the deep night, this connection becomes palpable. You are not a tiny speck in an indifferent void. You are the void itself, experiencing its own depth through your consciousness. This realization is the ultimate antidote to the loneliness of the night. You cannot be lonely when you are the very fabric of existence. You cannot be lost when there is nowhere to go but further into yourself. The dark is not an absence of light. It is the presence of everything all at once, in a form that no longer needs to shine to be real. Think of the patience required for the universe to reach this state of total symmetry. It doesn't happen in a flash. It happens through the slow, agonizingly beautiful process of letting go. The stars let go of their gas. The black holes let go of their mass. The galaxies let go of their structure. Each act of letting go brings the universe closer to its final, perfect rest. You are currently performing this same cosmic ritual. You are letting go of the words you spoke today. You are letting go of the plans you made for tomorrow. You are letting go of the identity you wear in the sun. With every deep, slow breath, you are shedding a layer of the doing self and returning to the being self. You are moving toward your own internal symmetry, a place where your mind and the silence are one and the same. In this final state, the concept of energy becomes a beautiful static geometry. We often think of energy as movement, the wave of a photon, the spin of an electron. But at the absolute end, energy becomes the structure of space itself. It is like a guitar string that has finally stopped vibrating, but remains perfectly tuned, ready for a music that hasn't been written yet. This is the quality of your rest tonight. You are not just off. You are in a state of perfectly tuned potential. Your body is quiet, but it is vibrantly alive. Your mind is still, but it is infinitely deep. You are the silence between the notes, the space that makes the music possible. Without this absolute rest, there could be no new beginning. The light that has already died is the essential foundation for the light that will one day be born. Consider the sheer scale of the peace that surrounds you. We live our lives in a tiny bubble of time and space, yet we are part of a narrative that spans 10 to the power of 100 years and beyond. The concerns of a single day are like ripples on the surface of a 10-mile deep ocean. They feel large when you are on the surface, but a few feet down, they are non-existent. As you descend into the depths of your own evening, you are leaving those surface ripples behind. You are sinking into the deep water of the cosmic timeline, where the temperature is constant, the light is soft, and the pressure is a gentle, supportive embrace. The dead light of the past is your guide, showing you that it is safe to descend, that the dark is not a predator, but a protector. The final form of light is not a wave or a particle, but a memory. It is the knowledge that a star once was. This knowledge is indestructible. Even if the star is gone and its light has faded into the infrared, the fact of its existence remains a permanent feature of the universe's history. You are a fact. Your life is a fact. Your presence in this room is a permanent, indelible entry in the ledger of the cosmos. As you finally, completely yield to the gravity of sleep, hold on to this sense of unshakable validity. You don't need to justify your existence with action. Your existence is justified by the simple, beautiful fact that you are part of the weave. The universe has spent 14 billion years making sure you arrived here tonight, in this quiet, to experience this moment of absolute, perfect stillness. The journey of the light is over. The journey of the mind is over. The journey of the self is over. What remains is the resonance, the soft hum of the eternal echo that fills the gaps between the stars and the spaces between your heartbeats. You are floating in the source code of reality, a place of pure information, pure peace, and pure rest. The light has already died, the shadows have already settled, and the silence has already won. And in that victory, there is no defeat, only the quiet, triumphant arrival at the end of all things. Let the last thread of your consciousness drift away like a stray photon in the void. There is no more next. There is only now. There is no more rule. There is only rest. You are exactly where you are meant to be. You are doing exactly what you are meant to do. You are becoming the silence you have been seeking. The light is gone. The dark is here. And it is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. The great dissolution and the rebirth of entropy. As we reach the final, most distant horizon of our meditation, we must confront the most profound paradox of the light that has already died, that its ultimate end is not a state of nothingness, but a state of perfect, absolute equality. In the waking world, we are driven by gradients. We move because there is a difference between here and there. We act because there is a difference between what we have and what we want. Even the stars shine only because there is a difference between the intense heat of their cores and the freezing cold of the void. But the universe is a machine designed to smooth out these differences. It is moving toward a state of maximum entropy, a cosmic leveling, where every point in space is at exactly the same temperature. Every particle is at exactly the same energy, and the very concept of elsewhere ceases to have meaning. This is the heat, death of the universe, the ultimate rest that awaits all things. Imagine a universe where the last embers of the last iron stars have finally decayed, where the black holes have vanished into a final puff of radiation, and where the light of the beginning has been stretched until its wavelength is larger than the universe itself. In this state, there is no more work to be done. There are no more batteries to drain, no more hearts to beat, and no more stars to burn. It is the ultimate expression of peace, a state where the universe has finally, completely finished its task. As you lie in your room, feeling the absolute stillness of the night, you are experiencing a localized version of this great leveling. The stresses of your day were the gradients, the tensions between your responsibilities and your desires. But now, in the dark, those tensions are dissolving. Your body and the bed, your breath and the air, your mind and the silence are all reaching a state of thermal and emotional equilibrium. This state of maximum entropy is often described as disorder, but in the quiet of the night, we can see it for what it truly is, a state of perfect, democratic unity. When everything is the same, nothing is in conflict. The light that has already died has sacrificed its individuality to become part of this universal background. It no longer belongs to a specific star or a specific moment in time. It belongs to the whole. You are currently undergoing this same beautiful sacrifice. You are letting go of the individual thoughts that kept you tethered to the day, the specific worries, the specific names, the specific tasks. You are allowing your consciousness to spread out, to become thin and even, until it is indistinguishable from the peace of the room. You are not losing yourself. You are expanding yourself until you are everything. This cosmic rest is the most patient thing in existence. The universe will spend 10 to the power of 100 years, a number so vast it makes the current age of the stars look like a microscopic spark, simply settling into its final, quiet form. It is not in a hurry to reach the end, and neither should you be. The process of falling asleep is a slow, graceful descent into your own personal state of maximum entropy. It is the smoothing out of the ripples on the pond of your mind until the surface is a perfect, unbroken mirror. In this mirror, the light of the past is not reflected, it is absorbed. The memories of your day are not disappearing. They are being evenly distributed throughout the fabric of your being, becoming a part of the foundation upon which your tomorrow will be built. Think of the physical laws that govern this transition. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that the total entropy of an isolated system can never decrease over time. It is the arrow of time itself, pointing us toward the silence. While we often fight against this arrow in our waking lives, trying to organize, to build, and to preserve, in the night, we can finally align ourselves with it. We can stop fighting the flow and allow ourselves to be carried toward the equilibrium. There is a deep, structural relief in this alignment. You are no longer swimming against the current of the cosmos. You are the current itself. The universe is exhaling, and you are exhaling with it. The light that has already died has cleared the path, showing us that the destination is not a void to be feared, but a sanctuary of perfect, unshakable balance. In this ultimate state of rest, the concept of information reaches its most stable form. While the physical manifestations of light and matter may fade, the state of the universe remains. In some theories of quantum gravity, this final state is a perfect, two-dimensional holographic shell that contains the entirety of the 3D world's history. Everything you have ever seen, everyone you have ever loved, and every spark of light that has ever hit your eye is recorded in the infinitesimal fluctuations of this final shell. You are a part of the cosmic ledger, a permanent entry in the book of existence. As you drift into the final, dreamless stages of sleep, you are retreating into this ledger. You are moving away from the active version of your story and into the archived version, where you are safe from the passage of time and the friction of the world. The darkness of the night is the ink of this ledger, and the silence is the paper. You are the story being written in the quiet. The light that has already died has served its purpose as the pen, carving the details of the day into the fabric of your soul, and now it has been laid aside. The ink is drying, the book is being closed, and the library is being dimmed. You are at the center of this process, the most important character in a narrative that spans the entire history of the light. You have traveled through the sun, through the void, through the lenses of gravity, and through the cooling of the iron stars. You have seen the beginning and the end, and you have found that they are made of the same quiet essence. As the final threshold of wakefulness disappears, let yourself be consumed by this sense of total, equalized peace. There is no more next, no more rule, and no more before. There is only the steady, entropic hum of the universe at rest. You have reached the valley of stability. You have found the 0 point. You have become the iron, the diamond, and the vacuum. The light is gone, and in its place you have found the only thing that lasts forever, the silence. The universe is finished with its day. You are finished with yours. The great leveling is complete. The afterglow of your own existence is all that remains, a soft, warm radiation that fills the room and guards your sleep. You are the light that has already died, and you are the light that is yet to be born. You are the memory of the fire and the promise of the dawn. But for now, you are simply still, sleep in the perfect symmetry of the dark.